We're doing engineers today. You know how it works. A gameplay tier list and a design tier list. But this time, we have an additional third tier list. Gameplay plus design plus... Oh, no long intro. Let's just go. 3, 2, 1, whoa. The engineer is the guy who builds the teleporter in this game, and unlike other games with this feature, here no one cares if you build it or not, it's completely up to you. Engine fires balls of concrete at plants. That's gotta hurt surely. Dealing up to 43 damage on hit, which is surprisingly very deadly. His fire rate being quite slow, and having a longer reload balances this damage however. With your abilities Jackhammer, Bolt Blaster and Sonic Grenade, your overall versatility is actually quite good, being able to stun plants, gun them down, or run away with 3 simple button presses. NG overall is a plain engineer character. Great offense, with the downside of it being harder to land shots with your concrete balls as they explode after a few seconds of airtime. Engineer's gonna go into B tier, a good strong stock variant that often gets overlooked by his other variants. Oh yeah, this video is 3 tier list rather than 2. Gameplay, design and ass. Let's see here. If it don't blast the house down when he sits on that terracotta bunda holster, then I must be dead ass S tier. Since Garden Warfare 1, he shaved his handlebar mustache. Now that isn't that big of a problem. I miss you. Jeremy here looks similar to every Bob the Builder type character ever. I've his jacket and jeans. You've seen this guy in your local area at least 5 times in the past month. His weapon looks cool. Why it has a shell type ammo here when it's a concrete launcher, the world may never know. And I guess PopCap took a page out of Soldier's book as this dude woke up and forgot both his left shoe and his left sock. Jerry here is gonna go into C tier. Most stock characters I have no real strong opinions on. He's alright. He's just alright. Like there's literally nothing more. What more do you want me to say? He's alright.
You're gonna fucking paper. If a 400 is small, I would frustrated to follow. However, I'd like to twist it and put that disk into a further exploding in air. Welder is fine, like a white PC or a fine PDB. It is the same, but the inside of it is far dark overtime. Also falling slightly faster than Gerald, or if it goes higher in the heat, Gerald also has slightly better versatility. Not 3 days, that's what I got from regular engine when I got into history. I can't get overall. I got the guy that has to target myself. The landing bolt is cool, and I got the design of the wings with the target I control. The first class is the first class as well.
Okay, I'm never putting that on again. For the Yaddy Patty. That's one a spicy meat cake right there. Like if the rope wasn't slightly covering it, it'd be an S. But alas, I put it in A. Just realised how dusty that thing I put on my mouth was. Similar to Welder, being close to Reg Engineer with the primary, the Electrician fires similar to both, but with a higher splash and the chain lightning effect. Electrician fires just barely quicker than Rashid and deals very similar damage. While his electric damage being very generous, this character's damage spread capabilities is unlike most engineers, having huge splash radius similar to Toxic P. Only difference is he has engineer abilities and is electric rather than toxic. For huge amounts of plants, or even chompers to be more specific, this engineer will Thanos snap them out of existence. However, the projectiles appear slightly larger than they are. I think that anyway, and I feel like I am gonna hit the direct shot and I end up missing. Might just be ass this game. Ass. Engineer effort. The Electrician's balls are close to Reg's, which explode after a certain distance from where they were originally shot from. So from mid-range to long-range, this guy isn't too good at all. Electrician, similar to Welder, also goes into A tier. Even with this lack of range, he deals great single shot and multi-target damage. Even when missing your opponents, the radius and damage his shots deal is still high enough to either finish them off or at least scare them away. Overall a great power variant. Okay, let's see here. Let's check. Oh, for fuck's sake. F tier as well. Like Welder, the Electrician wears clothes related to his colour scheme, being of course blue and yellow for electricity. His weapon being connected to a battery with cable wires connecting them both. It's also being the shoulder strap for the thing on his back. Why is he wearing gloves? I don't know, I just make these videos. I don't work at PopCap. Comparing the Garden Warfare 1 and 2 variants for a sec. Yep, Garden Warfare 2 clears. Electrician just looks more appealing to use in this game. The colours are more saturated and related to his element, and like the Welder, goes into A tier for design. Not the best design in the game, and there are better variants, but for a simple variant, does a great job at looking appealing. Shockingly, one of the better variants. Did you see what I did there? No, don't leave. Please don't leave, please. I think you'll all know where this guy goes, so let's just get this over with. Picture Reg Soldier, but with engineer abilities. Mechanic. Being the only rapid fire engineer and having high levels of accuracy, damage, reload and ammo makes this character one of the best variants, but somehow doesn't feel broken or overpowered. Mechanic is just a really solid character from all ranges, dealing a max of 10 damage per shot to only a minimum of 6, with a fire rate of 575 shots per minute, which is basically a fire rate of 9.5 shots per second. I think. I'm not too sure how to exactly convert it. Someone correct me in the comments, I don't know. It's my first day at work here. Mechanic doesn't need much aim due to his shots almost being hit scan, which is easier to land compared to other engineers. Being more offensive than most leads him to being easier to get the hang of. We're all Garden Warfare 2 fans, therefore every single one of us has seen Wolfie Plays play this game at least once in their life. Ask anyone out on the street, you say, you know Garden Warfare 2? If they reply with no, say that they know Wolfie Plays, and I can guarantee you they will know exactly who you're talking about, hopefully. Therefore, we all know he plays Mechanic as his main engineer variant. Therefore, we all believe him when he says he's an S tier character, right? Right? Surprisingly, yes, unsurprisingly, he does indeed go into S tier. I got you there for a sec to think I was going to put him in A, didn't I? S tier for Mechanic in terms of engineers. But when compared to all other classes, I'd say he'd be at max an A plus tier character. I don't think he fits S tier per se, but on engineer standing, he's definitely S tier. Now, while Mechanic is good in terms of play, he looks kind of shit. Al, over here, wearing his 2006 Guy Fieri shirt that he seems to have grown out of a bit. Why his toolbox is on his head? Don't wait for me to tell you, I'm asking you. I'll give him this. His weapon looks clean as Windex. The hexagonal shape and checkered flag, the colours of grey, orange and yellow makes it one of the best looking weapons in Garden Warfare 2, period. The colour scheme of his outfit is alright. I mean, him being splashed with a little bit of oil isn't really enough to tell you he's the Mechanic. Looking at his top half, it feels like a default model they forgot to finish. Yeah, I'm not digging Mechanic's design really. I'll put him in the C tier because he's Mechanic. He does a good job in-game, but looks-wise isn't exciting. I know this is Mechanic because it's the Mechanic from Garden Warfare 2, but if you ask somebody what kind of engineer this would be purely looks-wise, yeah, to be fair, he doesn't look like a Mechanic, but they'd probably say, is that it? He looks a bit boring, really. Let's just turn him around quickly and... Yep. Into the F tier. I thought there'd be more ass. Damn you random commenter, you made me do this!
Why did you make me do this?
The Crossbow Master Dart Monkey is a tier 5 monkey that costs 20k and fires bow shots extremely quick that can crit and deal huge damage to most balloon types and Moab class Oh, that's the wrong crossbow character. Okay, let me see. Super Commando fires 3 round... I've already covered, didn't it? Let's see, oh yeah, the Painter shoots a high velocity paint blast out of his crossbow that deal huge damage to plants. 45 to 48 with a damage upgrade to be exact. With a fire rate of only 1 shot per second is kind of slow. Painter is closer to a sniper, being better at range than up close. His paint shots don't do anything gimmicky, like no effect or bonus, it's just simply higher damage. While his splash is the same as Ewan, the damage is significantly less than his direct impact from 45 to only 15, a whopping 30 damage less, but that 45 damage shot is more rewarding if hit. A slow firing, longer range sniper, Painter is actually really good. He goes into A tier for me, being able to pick off plants near the back line, but becomes less versatile the closer he becomes. With that said, he's still great on maps like Great White North, Moonbase Z or any long range map, and even if you can lead the shot, can hit as much damage as Iron Citron. Right, Painter, you know what to do. Turn around. Yep. Nope. F. Like Electrician being mostly yellow, with some dark blue and orange splattering around. The paint aesthetic on his overalls, undershirt, sure is Painter-like. Drench him in paint would have been cooler. I like how he's wearing the goggles and mask so he isn't inhaling or blinding himself in toxins from the paint. His weapon being a paint crossbow is neat. After all crossbow characters are sick in this game. All 2 of them. Painter offers many colours on his outfit, which is great to look at. One of the most colourful characters on the zombie team. His backpack being full of paint tins too, just everything paint related. I'll give Painter an A as well. Satisfying to look at, both in playing as and against him. If he had more variety in his colours, he would go into S tier, but only his shots having the rainbow colours is still fine enough. Most of the engineers don't actually look too bad. They'd look a little bit boring at face value, but when you dig deep, it's probably one of the most consistent classes in this game. Damn, all these lists to make on one class. Gameplay, design, their ass. If only there was a way for you to help me out for all my extensive arse review. Oh, I guess there is. Listen, my hands are full. Do you mind just pressing that button for me quickly for me? I swear I'll do it myself next time. I have a lot of stuff. Thank you. Super Mario is a variant whose entire gimmick is toilet humor related, which isn't terrible, but doesn't do much to vary from the others. Funny how even though his gimmick is splash related, the splash radius is barely any bigger than any other basic engineer, just dealing an extra 10 damage on splash, which is basically just rewarding your bad accuracy. Plumber was crowned as the worst engineer by the PvZ community's equivalent of Jesus Christ himself. He doesn't do much compared to even Reg Engineer, though he's not a bad character, just as a variant is barely even worth being one in my opinion. I wouldn't say he's the worst by himself, I'd say he's probably tied for the worst, and the one that is we'll get to later, but I'm gonna put Plumber into C tier. Imagine Engineer, but he drinks bathwater and has skibbity toilet on his back. The Plumber stuck a plunger. This is the dumbest looking character in this game hands down. His colour scheme being a minion, plus his plunger shot weapon being fueled with this hydraulic energy or something, looks really nice. The red, black and blue go so nicely together. The toilet logo on his left shoulder is a detail I only really noticed just a few moments ago. Probably being the plumbing insurance company this guy used to work for before probably drowning in the toilet or something. This dude's name is Robert. Plumber for the plunger on his head alone, plus looking like your average Joe, while holding this futuristic plunger launcher goes into S tier, no doubt. Although I understand if someone finds this basic shirt and jeans boring, but the plunger puts him in S tier by default for me. And yes, the toilet being on his back is... come on, it's fucking Plumber. But they missed the chance to lower his jeans like Reg Engie and show his arse. Come on, PopCap. You've gone fully in with the toilet humour, and show his ass on that would have been peak character design. But unfortunately, we don't live to see the day where Garden Warfare 2's Plumber has that exposed skibbity Gaia. This is the worst thing I've ever said or uttered in my life. Ass goes into D tier because it does. I want to stop. I want to die. My garden's looking a little bit overgrown. If only there was a guy who could come and help me fix the terrain outside my house. Oh! Landscaper fires shots at a faster fire rate, which is automatic. Isn't as fast firing as you'd expect, being only twice as fast as most engineers. Having 10 shots or so in his mags with a reload of 2.5 seconds, the Landscaper can kill every plant in the game with a single magazine. What else does he do? And that's all she wrote. The Landscaper is a great character in itself, don't get me wrong, but just feels so blank to play. His shots don't travel very far at all before exploding, being only about 70 meters out. There isn't anything more to really say about him, but I remember playing him back in the day. I really didn't want to bring him into multiplayer because I just thought he was so ass, which he's not, but you know, 13-year-old me was probably just pissed off that day because he didn't get his dino nuggies. So I did a glitch with the flag of power that would allow you to do the 3 times damage boost outside of the flag mode. So I went into the plant space and killed bosses really easily for a few hours until I got up to master. So I never played him at stages Specialist, Advanced Elite or Super Elite. Only the mastered variant I've played of him online. And he is a good character, but that's it. He's all spice with no food. He goes into B tier. If his shots travelled a bit further and had an extra tiny little gimmick, I would put him higher. But there's nothing really wrong with him. He's just kind of there. You know, if you're feeling a little bit like you want an easy character to use that isn't too extraordinary, we've got the Landscaper. Enough stalling. Time for the cheek test. See, it's not bad, you say, but the shirt is lowered down so I don't get full 1080 definition on his Krakenheimer. C tier. Nice, our first engineer to keep his facial hair from the Garden Warfare 1 days. The overall beigey orange look with dark green and yellow. The leaves sprinkled around all over his attire are neat. His weapon looking like a hybrid saw and jumping jack tamper. Yes, that's what it's called. Headphones, because even dudes leaf blowing in public have the noise cancelling headphones, and this guy is no exception. The colour on his weapon looks a hate this word. Green. Especially the green and orange. But that's really all. Landscaper is just kinda alright. Sorry to all my fellow Landscaper fans. He's just kind of Design-wise, going in the C tier. Not really outstanding. And this design works, but that's it. Like, I'd choose this design over someone like Rock Piece, Scuba Soldier, Armor Chomper, Z7. You know, the variant that don't really look as cool. But like, I'd choose any good-looking planter zombie over this guy any day, you know? Like, I don't care for Landscaper, you feel me? Like, you feel me, hardcore Landscaper fans? I don't care for your favorite character. He's just there. I forget about him. The toxic variant of this class, Sanitation Expert, shoots bin bags at plants that deal toxic damage. The damage can be anywhere between 38 to 42 damage, with the splash being around 18. Though his damage is actually pretty good, but his shots are the slowest moving of all the engineer primaries, having the highest travel time, so leading the shot is way more necessary for this guy. The toxic damage helps him secure kills on plants that are surprisingly weakened. Sanitation Expert is actually a really solid character. Like, I never see anybody say any good things about him. His slower shots sure lead him to be harder to master, but if so, he can be one of the highest skill potentialed engineers. It's just a really solid variant of the reg engineer, so he goes into B tier, dealing high damage from both his direct and splash shots. While being great up close, falls off at range, but overall is great and the toxic damage helps him with his DPS. Now for the Inspector Gadget inspection. Even though he has his trousers up, the following behind is still a level 3 engineer rear-ended. B tier for sure, would be higher, but it probably stinks of rotten fish. Now even though he's covered in spoiled or rotten foods and fluids, the design here is actually alright in my opinion. The attire being similar to Plumber, Minion, but it's orange and not yellow, so a sunburnt Minion. The weapon having a plastic party cup at the end of it while being covered in slime is a nice detail, because if you ever open a bin and you see the red party cups, yeah, that's it. His head being protected by a bin lid and the banana peel to recreate the Swifty haircut. His backpack being a rubbish bin with trash in it, with the E-citron fumes coming out of it, is a great addition, as well as the rubber gloves and napkin on his belt. And finally his foot is in a fish can. The design will probably stink up your entire neighborhood. Clothes pop here, and even though he looks disgusting, he's great at proving that this guy is the complete opposite of a sanitation expert. My man hasn't touched the sink or soap in decades. He goes into A tier for me. He stinks, but in a rather good way. For our Garden Warfare 2 variants, we have two very different engineers. Our first one being a similar version to Landscaper, but minus the damage and usefulness of him. AC Perry, probably one of the saddest characters in Garden Warfare 2. He was once one of the more solid characters that hit consistent damage and could freeze plants fairly quickly, but upon later down the line, he had his overall damage cut, freezing capabilities cut, in more than half, leaving him one of the weaker characters on the zombie team overall. Now, the ice effect is still useful to a certain degree, just isn't good at fully immobilizing plants, rather it's still fairly alright at slowing them down. He has a fire rate of 4 shots per second that all deal anywhere between 3 to 16 damage, with a magazine size of 15 to 18 with an upgrade. It would take 9 direct shots to freeze a plant, and when splashing only would take a few more, around 13 to 14. His DPS being marginally the same as Sanitation Expert at 54 DPS. It seems pretty good, but with how his shots are kinda downwards after a certain while and the fact that they don't travel far at all, leaves this guy to being probably the worst engineer in the class. I'm gonna have to put him into D tier. Not that strong. It has a hard time vanquishing higher held plants like torchwoods, citrons, and even corns. And he probably has hypothermia, so his ass is probably ice cold. Oh yeah, no visible ass crack, F tier. Imagine Electrician, but more cool. His outfit being similar to Electrician and Plumber is yellow, but this guy has blue icicles now, so he's an AC on his back, which is why he probably has the lowest body temperature, and why his arms are blue, because cold. His weapon being the equivalent to a space gun with a fan on it, his cord around him being the wires of the AC, being wrapped around his arm and torso. His shoe has the grippers out, because of course it does, and probably because they've been freezing and cracking, causing it to rip. AC Perry is such a neat idea for an ice variant. The cold being caused due to the air conditioning on his back breaking, and for multiple AC problems in general, it's just a genius way of explaining why this guy's so cold all the time. Probably one of the smartest designs for this class. The colours all actually meld into each other nicely, and the aesthetic being really chill. There's a reason my dad left. Gonna give AC Perry a B tier. Really like what they did for this variant as a whole, just a bit much yellow and blue, but that's okay. A kind of original idea for an ice variant for once, not just snow or ice, but air being the factor for why he's so cold. The Sweats version of the engineer is this guy. This guy has no range, he's a rapid firing version of the engineer, and he stinks. The Roadie Z has the biggest stereo speaker of all time on his back. Compensate by giving him 25 extra hit points. Probably because he died because he's so big, therefore the help was needed, but you know what I mean. Roadie Z relies on plants being oblivious to their surroundings for him to sneak up on them and get kills. His jackhammer being his best friend, being able to go in and get killed, then run away. Having by far the fastest fire rate of all engineers, the Roadie Z has a highest DPS as well, up to 90 damage per second, which can be upgraded to 11 because he gets 2 damage upgrades. Why does he get 2 damage upgrades? Having a range of only 8 meters before becoming useless. Roadie is basically the zombie's equivalent of a chomper. He relies on stealth to become useful and get any work done. However, when up close and gotten the jump on someone, he isn't automatically the winner. As he is close range, all the plants have to do is hit the ability button that lets him run away quicker, which then in turn makes him useless again. Roadie is fine, in my opinion, just isn't as good as other engineers. I'm gonna put him into B tier though, because he can be lethal, but with how gimmicky he is up close to deal damage, I can't really say he's much more than B tier. And plus his bombardment of a backside is kinda trash. D tier. I thought the ass tier list would be good, but you know what? Who needs ass? How to look like the biggest dick bag in Garden Warfare 2. Or in real life, just look like Roadie Z. Now he isn't that bad looking as a character at all. Just the shades and goatee making him look like a c***. His Sid from Toy Story looking ass hat, with drumsticks being attached to them, is actually a design choice I've never really seen done in any other game. His stereo being, bigger than him, and his weapon being a speaker that deafens any plant unlucky enough to come into contact with this guy will die when he blares Imagine Dragons in their ear. The funny addition of the tiny watch on his wrist is, I don't know what it means, but it's just so out of place that it's funny. The colours being mainly yellow and black and red is also quite edgy, but it works for the teased character in Garden Warfare 2. Roadie Z goes into A tier. He does a good job at looking like that kind of dickhead character that was created to piss you off. Nothing more I can really say, just a solid looking variant. I won't do a long outro again, so I'll keep this short. But these are the 3 lists. Not many S tiers for either gameplay, design, or ass this time, unfortunately. Plumber is the undisputed champ of S tier in terms of design. Mechanic is the legendary defender of S tier in terms of gameplay. And Reg is the king of ass assembly lane in terms of ass. The whole class overall plays and looks really solid. Engineer is a class that every once in a while I'll play, but not really much more than that. Is it a really solid class with some great variants and some solid ability lineup? Yes, not much more than that though. Gonna give the whole class an A tier in my overall tier list. Comment your thoughts. What variant did I butcher, and cry about it below. I'll be sure to not convert my thoughts to please you, because you suck. Is everyone gone? Yeah? If you somehow snuck past the outro, then you'll be lucky to know that this is where you'll get to figure out who the next character is. We'll be migrating back to the plants, and the next plant I'll be doing is